And again, the joy of living is just the whole key, is that getting out of self. That's what the whole steps in religions are about. Getting out of the self, right? Not making ourselves higher power. Praising, getting down on, in a lot of religions, they get down on their knees and pray, and some get down in the ground and pray 5 times a day. And the humility, not making. Do you realize the truth in that? That there is no, my name is Bob. There is no Bob. It's something that people told me, and I conjured up in my brain from what people said, and I made decisions based on that. It's all about accepting and loving the universe, surrendering to the universe, so the universe will surrender to you. If you want, if you're the type here that says, I still want to get even with somebody, just love them, right? They'll respect you so much. They'll notice. We have the step 9 where we make amends. You want to make amends to people, work these steps, become spiritual, have that spiritual awakening. And in a second person you had a resentment towards your whole life, they'll notice the difference. Like when Ebby walked into the room when he met Bill, he didn't even recognize him. He said his eyes were different. He didn't recognize the man. And if they try to push your buttons, you'll just sit there, as it is in our book, and smile and rise above it, right? It's just totally amazing, and the whole perception change. But the person will change. But the great thing is, if it turns out they don't change either, so what? Our life, if they're going to act crazy, why? The crazy one is me. The toxic one is me, because I acted crazier. I'm not saying I have to be with a person and love them all day long if they act a certain way, but I don't have to let them, it says in our book on page 65, letting people control us. Being controlled by all kinds of people and situations. Is that the way you want to be? The whole thing is the imprisonment. I told you, I went to the lecture, and the Maharishi, the guy there with all the robes, and he seemed like, always say, the real deal. He said, you could get out of the prison right now. He says, you get out of that prison right now. And I won't get into the whole story about Mount Everest, but the guy climbed it to be happy, right? But the same guy, he says, I could sit on my couch and be just as happy, the man who spends his whole life trying to climb Mount Everest. More happy, because his is pleasure. All these things, the food and everything we do, this pleasure, on the other side is just as much devastation. Do you follow that? The more money you make, there's going to be on the other side as much devastation, because you're on a false premise, right? It's trying to build a house of cards, right, made out of cards. And it falls down because it's based on the irrationality, saying that it's important how much material things I have. What does it say? The lilies of the fields and the birds, look how great they are. But we go around trying to control and figure it out. And how sorry it is. You're jealous of rich people. It's a really sorry world. Some people do fine, but if their basis, and usually it is, the more we get, the more we want, then how sad is that? How sorry world. So we have a way out. We're lucky we're here. We're so lucky that we had the ability to come to this program, that we hit bottom. I never would have got spiritual. I would have been chasing that carrot on a stick, been a prisoner of my mind my whole life. And when I do come back to that and start becoming a prisoner of my self-will and the ego, I have a way out. I could just sit there and relax and smile. Get centered. That's all it really is.